Throughout my Costa Rica videos, we have taken a look at some really incredible mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. But today's episode will highlight a different class of animals that rarely get the spotlight on my channel: birds. Of all the animals that I saw during field surveys or while exploring on my own, birds were by far the most commonly spotted, but often some of the most difficult to film. Because the rainforest canopy was so tall and the foliage so dense, subjects were often either too far away to film or completely concealed from view. So good videography opportunities were few and far between relative to how many birds I actually saw. However, I did still manage to snag a few shots of some really neat species throughout the trip, and will be highlighting the ecological importance and unique adaptations of those individuals in this video. The very first bird that I successfully filmed was the iconic Scarlet Macaw. These animals are well known worldwide for their brilliant coloration and intelligence, but it was neither of these features that attracted my attention in the first place. Actually, the extremely loud and raspy vocalizations that Scarlet Macaws produce was often the first indication that one was nearby. These vocalizations are used to locate other individuals or communicate the presence of food or potential predators such as myself, so I got squawked at on a pretty regular basis throughout my trip. Scarlet macaws are the largest parrots in the world, tipping the scales at over 2 pounds and measuring more than 2.9 feet long. That does not, however, diminish their aeronautic prowess in the slightest. At top speed, macaws can fly over 35 miles per hour, thanks to the help of strong but light and hollow bones, as well as extraordinarily strong chest muscles that power their wing beats. And their wings aren't the only impressively strong part of the macaw's body. Their jaw muscles provide enough power to easily crush even the toughest jungle nuts, especially when paired with a wicked sharp and extremely sturdy beak. This combination, along with a leathery and highly mobile tongue, allow scarlet macaws to extract the nutrient-rich meats from within the shell, a skill which provides them with a unique way to earn a living in the highly competitive rainforest ecosystem. While nuts make up a large part of their diet, they are opportunistic feeders who will dine on a variety of fruits, seeds, and insects depending on what food sources are available. Interestingly, they regularly consume fruits that are toxic enough to kill most other animals, and have been documented eating large quantities of clay, perhaps to neutralize these toxins. Ecologically, these birds are very unique. Their ability to consume toxic fruits makes macaws important seed dispersers for those plants, and they also help distribute the other nuts, seeds, and berries that make up their diet. While their numbers are still relatively stable worldwide, due in part to the large number of animals in the pet trade, the scarlet macaw is still negatively impacted by the destruction of their rainforest homes, and wild populations are declining in most areas where deforestation is occurring. Macaws aren't the only parrots that can be found here. This is the red Ruurd Amazon, a much smaller species that only stands about a foot tall and rarely reaches 1 pound in weight. Whether a function of their rather diminutive size or somewhat dull coloration, this seems to be one of the least well-known and least appreciated parrots out there. Most literature published about these birds only pertains to disease transmission in the pet trade, and non-academic information is almost exclusively geared towards pet owner education. I actually found red Ruurds to be quite charismatic and personable little animals, and really enjoyed observing their behavior in the wild. From what I saw, these are a highly social species, and I always spotted them in groups of 3 or more individuals feeding or preening together. Red Ruurd Amazons lack the biting power and sharp beak of scarlet macaws, so their diet consists of small seeds, fruits, and insects that can easily fit into their relatively compact beaks. This means that they aren't quite as important for dispersing the seeds of large fruits or nuts, but are still integral to the dispersion of many plant species that produce berries or smaller seeds. These birds are also a prey source for a variety of predators, including raptors, snakes, and mammals such as jaguarundis or ocelots. Like the macaws, this species is quite popular in the pet trade, but possibly to an even greater degree due to the relatively small amount of space and food that they require. As a result, their populations are also quite stable around the globe, but wild populations are still being impacted by increasing habitat fragmentation and deforestation. Not all birds make their living from a plant-based diet, however. Some, like this roadside hawk, are strictly carnivorous. Actually much smaller than the macaws and red lord Amazons, these falcons only stand about 16 inches tall and rarely weigh much more than half a pound. Their small size does not, however, mean that these birds are ineffective predators. Using razor-sharp talons, superb eyesight, and agile flight maneuvers, roadside hawks are able to capture a huge variety of prey items, from insects to small mammals and everything in between. The individual seen here is making a meal of what appears to be a large katydid. This varied diet and small size have made roadside hawks some of the most successful falcons in the Americas, enabling them to thrive in a huge diversity of habitats and earn a living even in urban or suburban areas. While their range includes vast swaths of land from Argentina to southern Texas, this species tends to show increased fitness in semi-disturbed ecosystems, where larger raptors may be less of a threat than in better preserved habitats. As skilled hunters of a variety of prey items, roadside hawks are often near the top of the food chain in the ecosystems where they can be found, and help to keep the populations of smaller birds and rodents balanced and healthy. Even among these smaller raptors, competition for similar resources can sometimes be fierce, so some species have adapted their lifestyles to minimize competition with other birds. In the case of the yellow-headed Caracara, rather than try and outdo the hunting prowess of similar birds, their niche has shifted towards scavenging and omnivory. Yellow-headed Caracaras traded the agile flight so common in other birds of prey for the ability to survive off a much wider variety of food sources and a pair of long, fast legs to improve their more terrestrial pursuits. In a similar fashion to vultures, these birds dine primarily on carrion, but will not turn up their nose to invertebrates, amphibians, reptiles, small mammals, or even fruits. Their incredibly varied diet has made these birds even more prolific urban colonists than the aforementioned roadside hawk, and it is extremely common to see them perched on power lines or rooftops in heavily disturbed areas. Their dietary preferences and adaptability make yellow-headed caracaras important members of the decomposer communities of urban and suburban areas, where they are often among the only large scavengers that can initiate the decomposition process. This is an extremely important ecosystem function, which aids the cycling of key nutrients such as phosphorus and calcium, as well as helping to reduce possible disease transmission from deceased individuals to healthy individuals. My absolute favorite bird of the entire trip is another species that specializes in the cleanup of dead animals, but is much larger and more rare than the caracara. A bird that is easily distinguished by its white plumage, black wingtips, and robust facial colors. This is the aptly named king vulture. The largest New World vulture species on the planet, excluding condors, these massive birds can weigh nearly 10 pounds and stand up to 32 inches tall, an absolutely staggering size for an animal capable of such proficient flight. Relative to their size, king vultures also have the largest brain case of any of the New World vultures, indicating that they may boast some serious intelligence. When you combine their size and brains with incredible vision, razor-sharp talons, and a hooked beak designed to tear through flesh, you essentially have the ultimate scavenging machine. Locating carcasses both through sight and smell, the king vulture is the undisputed monarch of most kills, often kicking out smaller scavengers upon arrival. When a meal is located, these animals often use their meat-cleaving beak to make the very first cuts into the carcass. thereby kickstarting the decomposition process by providing openings for weaker animals to access the soft remains. This is a critically important step in the decomposition process, and this species is the only bird large enough to make these initial cuts throughout most of its range. Interestingly, even after cutting into a corpse, king vultures seem to prefer to consume tougher tissues, such as the skin, rather than the delicate organs that many other animals dine on. While it is not known for sure why this behavior is exhibited, I believe that it could have something to do with the high fat content of these harder tissues. As large birds that require frequent meals and therefore large home ranges, king vultures are primarily found in undisturbed lowland forest, or grasslands with forest nearby. Fortunately, this species is found throughout a very wide range, from Argentina to southern Mexico, and are considered a species of least concern, but the amount of suitable habitat available to them is decreasing due to habitat destruction. Well everyone, that's just about it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed, and learned something new about the birds of Costa Rica. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video, and consider subscribing to my channel for more educational wildlife content coming every other Saturday morning. Thanks so much for watching, and keep adventuring everywhere. This has been Zino, of the Wild Report, signing out.